Good evening, everybody. This is Information Man. I know it's late. I had a few family issues I had to deal with. So I'm actually having a long week of no work. Um, won't be going into work. Didn't go into work today. I won't be going in tomorrow. But I have time on the books, so it's not a problem. I had a family situation. I had to get my daughter a little bit earlier than expected, but it doesn't matter. It's my daughter. She's with me, and I'm helping out her mother. I had to go out of town, and then there was a little bit of a situation with the grandmother. She's been having some illness, so I'm doing my father duties to help out, and as a result, I'm gonna have a lot of time on my hand. A long weekend for me, so it's almost like a mini vacation. So I plan to do a live stream Friday, Saturday evening, Sunday, and I know I realize other people will be doing streams, so I will do my best to do my streams around other people trying putting their content out. I was checking out King Wage today as he was making delicious food. I didn't realize the brother lived in the Bay Area, so that means that myself, True Royal family, we're gonna have to get with this brother to hang out, spend time, talk in person. That's one of my ultimate goals too. Is that it would be nice to at some point in time have a what you would call a sort of a reunion, not a reunion, but a get together somewhere. Somehow we can all meet each other. We can probably meet regionally. So those of us that live in the West Coast can probably figure out a way to all get together. Those of you that are in the East and South get together, and then we can try to create one big conglomerate where we can pick a place where we can all meet, preferably where it's not cold, because you know, black folks, we don't like that cold weather. So those of you that live in really cold eastern areas, I don't want to be in the cold. So I think it'd be great if we could all meet at some point in time. Um, and we know that there were events that took place the other night and go, and at this point in time, I'm moving on from circumstances that took place. I'm not going to go over it and over it, but I'm moving on. Um, I think I got an email from True Royal Family today, and I'm not going to expose, so certain things should not be said on air. And I keep telling everybody in the chat room, everybody that's listening to me, I love you, but we need to get on code. Now, I'm going to give my critical analysis because I sit back a lot and I observe a lot of the live streams and what people have to say. And I think everyone has a right to express themselves. I think everyone has a right to, you know, speak their truth. But I'm going to remind you, we've got to learn to speak in code, because what happens, this is what my concern is. What happens is that there are a few of us that are creating content. And when you create content, you put a lot of your time, your soul, your energy into what you're doing. And if you have someone that comes on your platform that you love or don't love, you know, um, if you're saying things, think about what you're saying, how it will impact the content provider that you enjoy listening to or being a part of their live streams. And you wake up the next day and that person is no longer has a platform. Okay. So a lot of times it's easy if you don't, it's easy if you're not a content creator and you don't have anything to risk by saying anything out of your mouth that you want to say. It's easy to do that because you don't bear any risk in losing anything that you have in terms of a platform. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. So let's just keep that in mind. We need people like Lisa Carabaro. We need True Royal Family. Okay, we need everybody in the YouTube family. And I know there's many more that I haven't named, but that's the names that come to mind because those are prominent people right now that I've had a chance to sort of get to know, you know, on panels, and I've had private conversations with True Royal Family. She's been a mentor for me in a lot of ways, and Lisa as well. And I heard the discussion that we had yesterday after what happened, and we were all of us were looking for answers, and I agree. our women should not have to look for, our women should not, we should not as black men have to say to our women, what are the answers? As black men, we are the leaders, we are the kings, we are the kings and stabilizers of our communities, at least we're supposed to be in our families. And we are the ones that should have the answers. And when we say things that are defeatist, when we say make statements out of our mouth that comes off as if we are too scared, or it gives the impression, let me say that we're too scared to come up with a solution or to do something, it doesn't give our women much confidence. Can everybody hear me in the chat room? I'm afraid that no one can hear me. I always want to double check the mic to make sure the mic is working correct. So if you can hear me, press 1 in the chat room. I see S. Wiseman. I see Makem in there tonight. I see Exposing, Fake Pro Black. Okay, everybody can hear me. That's wonderful. Router Morris, I see you in there, brother. Robert, thank you, brother, for being here. Brenda Johnson, you are number 1, sister. Ann, let me tell everybody about Ann. Y'all need, everybody in the chat room, y'all need to get over to Ann channel. She's got some excellent material. I would say the kind of material that she puts out is in the same sort of style as what Lisa's doing. You know, she is reporting interesting things. She did I think she had a video about how dangerous it is, the dangers of getting in, you know how people, I live in close to the Sacramento area, and we have a lot of rivers here. And during the summertime, people like to get in the rivers and they like to, you know, dance around in the water and have a good time. But she did a video showing the dangers of doing that type of stuff. It's not in your best interest to do that. Black people, there's all type of chemical, you know, parasites and all these things that are in the water. And I noticed that, especially here in Sacramento, the Frankenstein type, and you know what I'm talking about. We got to talk in code. Frankenstein types, they like to get in that water and enjoy that stuff. And I'm not getting in no parasite type water. I'm not eating any fish with all the parasites either. So what I got at that discussion yesterday is that we as black men, that's why the mid-tile philosophy is garbage, because we as black men, if we don't have our women will only follow us if we've got A, a plan, B, a direction, C, a vision, and D, the guts to carry out the damn vision. And if we don't have any of those, and we're just saying things like, well, we can't, and I don't know, and you sound like a Baptist preacher to our black women when you talk like that. And all Baptist preachers want to do is give you dreams, you know, because they're jack-a-leg preachers. Okay. So our women need more than just tell it on the mountain dreams. They need action with your words. So that's what I got of yesterday, is that we need to be more about our action as black men. And if we do that, our women will lead us. Okay. Let me just let y'all know that I know that on YouTube, you've got people who are not in your best interest. You've got people who will use you, take advantage, what have you. I'm not naive to the sort of things that will go on in YouTube. And actually dealing with YouTube is sort of like, and I don't want to sound arrogant to anybody, but I'm just going to sound arrogant. Dealing with YouTube and the mess that goes on YouTube. And I was quite upset at one point in time about what was happening in the chat room, because that chat room situation is it can reflect on me. And I don't want that, especially when I'm trying to develop relationships with people who have discovered my channel, those who have discovered my channel, those who have been told about my channel. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you in the chat room tonight have told people about me. So therefore, I have a reputation and a standard to keep up. And that's why I got a little upset. And I did that video one night with Lions Den where I just totally went off. I ended up deleting it because it didn't really reflect who I really am deep inside, but it reflected how I was feeling at the time. But let me just tell you something. I know that there can be some junkyard dog type stuff that goes on in YouTube, and there's people that that are not in your best interest. And I know I'm a brother that, yes, I do reach out to people, but I'm reaching out to our black folks, and along that journey of reaching out to people, you're going to discover people that are not in your best interest and people that are, and you're going to discover that people are phony. You can even discover people that are totally down with the movement, and they can betray you. All you got to do is look at the Black conscious movement right now and what's happening over in Harlem right now. And I'm not going to name any names, but everybody knows what I'm talking about right now. What's happening over in Harlem. You've got people who got years of being on YouTube, years of putting their foot on ground, and they can have beef with people. So even when you do find people that quote unquote pro-Black and down with the whole movement, they can also betray you. And so I'm not a stranger to what people can do, because let me tell you something right now. See, what I think people don't know about me really fully is that I deal with master manipulators about 4 times a week for 10 hours. I deal with murderers, gangbangers of all kind, killers. I've even dealt with serial killers up close and personal. I've dealt with people who have split personalities. Now, split personalities are very rare in our society, but they do exist. Okay. I've dealt with people who are completely psychotic. I've been in rooms with men that could attack you at any moment. So dealing with people on YouTube is sort of like it's kind of mincemeat to me. Yeah, I'm not going to be happy about stuff because I just don't like mess. But I'm not in a situation where any of this is burning me out, because I've been dealing with killers, murderers, and thieves, and the most despicable type of people. I've read documents of people who have done things to kids that would make your skin crawl, up close and personal. I've had to a lot of us on here talk about white supremacy, but I deal with white supremacists up close. I've dealt with I've dealt with individuals that are members of the Aryan Brotherhood. If you know anything about the Aryan Brotherhood, they control the prison system as it relates to these white gangs. They control the Nazi lowrider gang, which is a biker gang. They control everything. I've dealt with individuals in the prison system who will tell me I can have your whole family taken out. And where I work at in the prison system, we have what we call in California penal codes. So if a guy threatens me, I'm going to write him up a 115 under the penal code, and he may get more time for making any kind of threat on me. I have a law license plate on my car, so that's a license plate that's blocked. Nobody can read it. If a police stops me, they'll just see it as, oh, you must be in law enforcement of some kind. But I still have been stopped, basic speeding tickets. So I have dealt with literally killers, and I have dealt with white men with swastikas on their face, people that are straight up in the white supremacy game. So I'm not one of these people who just talks about it but never really experienced these individuals. I have dealt with the very individuals that we talk about all the time, up close and personal. I know how they think. And I haven't revealed. And so I haven't even done shows about the ideology of the white supremacists, because I know it. I don't need to read anybody's book to know what they are, because I deal with them, study them. I haven't even begun to get into the surface of what I know as it relates to that. This is why Black people, we do need to know, we do need to protect ourselves. We do need to arm ourselves in terms of buying guns legally, because white people buy guns legally. And I believe if you want true gun control in this country, all Black people have to do is buy up guns left and right. And you'll have white folks that will want to do what? Make more gun control, just like they did in California when the Black Panther Party, right near the area I live, went to Sacramento with their guns in a symbolic fashion. And Ronald Reagan, the racist that he is, was the governor at that time, and he was scared out of his mind along with the other state senators. And they changed the law so quick in California and made California be a state where you couldn't have an open carry type situation when you used to. That was because of Black folks collectively coming together putting a symbolic threat. Because at that time in California, you could carry your gun, but you could not have a bullet in the chamber. So when the Black Panther, a lot of people don't know this, when the Black Panther Party went up to Sacramento and did that symbolic move, they didn't have any bullets in the chambers of their gun. It was just the fact that these were Black people that were armed. And that was enough to scare those that, you know, deemed themselves in charge of the system. So I don't want to let you guys know a little bit about my what I call my fortitude to be able to forge through situations and deal with situations, learn from them, and then move on. Because to me, the personalities on YouTube or the kind of drama you'll get on YouTube is kind of like the petty stuff, you know, people arguing with each other in the chat room, or someone trying to use you because they want to get views and all that kind of petty stuff. That's kind of like, okay, wow, okay, all right, big deal. That's happened. Tomorrow when I go to work, I may have to be dealing with someone who's a straight killer. What's more dangerous? I'm in more danger at work than I am on YouTube in terms of, so I know there's people that will threaten you and what have you. And the thing about me, if someone threatens me, oh my, I've heard True Royal Family tell me about people that make threats. They show your address. They do all these kind of funky things. If someone does it to me, you're in a hell of a lot of trouble, because I have connections in the inside. I've got at least 4 frat brothers that work for the Homeland Security, so I can trace your ass quickly as lightning. And then on top of that, because of the environment that I work in, that gives me another access to resources to get your ass found out. So anybody, see, this is the thing that folks, you guys don't know about me. Anybody that messes with me, given the connections that I have, you're in a hell of a lot of trouble. Because I can, with a quick, I can pick up my phone, my cell phone, I can call one of my boys, and I can be like, look, this individual trying to harass me on YouTube, and I want to know exactly where he lives at. We're gonna find this, and I'll just leave it at that. So I'm not the one. I'm the wrong YouTuber for anybody to mess with. I'm letting you be known right now in terms of that. So if it comes down to that, I got the resources to put foot on ass, because I deal with criminals at work, and I deal with white supremacists, all kind of gangs, everything. So if you guys really want to know what the mind of these individuals are, the ones that go out and do the violence on us, not the ones that just talk, you know, those guys that were in Charlottesville talking about blood and soil with them tiki torches, those is wannabes. The guys that I deal with, they in there for killing people like Black people. They're in there for doing real stuff, not guys walking around with tiki torches. So I just want to lay that out. Good old information, man. Ain't just somebody who just was raised in the suburbs or something. Let me get that straight. I've been around all kinds of people all my life. When I lived in the San Francisco area, I've been around pimps. I've been around hustlers. I've had friends that died from gang violence. I could be in prison right now. I could be a statistic based on one thing and one thing only: choices that I made in life, and having the right people and mentors in my life to guide me the right way. And the choices that I made in life are the difference in me being in jail, the graveyard, and some other mess. It's just that simple. So I hope everybody understands where I'm coming from tonight. I just had to say that. I'm appreciative of you. And anytime I stumble, I expect you all to keep me in line and say, wait a minute, info. Brother, you're treading too far off the line here. Perfectly understandable. So with that said, let me move into what I really wanted to do here. The program, as you can see on the thumbnail or on the title, is Demographics and Economic Data by Race, Black People. Now, this is why this is important. And I don't expect a lot of people to be in here tonight because it's kind of late. Got 29 people watching. And then we got a good group of folks in there, Kashmir. We got a nice group of people in there right now listening to me. So thank you. Let me just say this. This is not going to be a long stream. So those of you that are listening and those of you that are in the chat room, I'm not going to keep you. It's not going to be a 3-hour, 4-hour stream because I realize it's about what, looking at my clock here, it's about 11 o'clock on the West Coast, which puts it at about 2 o'clock or whatever in the morning, the East Coast time. But Friday night into the weekend, because it's the weekend, I'm going to be burning the midnight oil with you. But I'm going to get right to the point. I've already pre-recorded this particular piece, and I see, let's see, Ann's in there, and I see who else is coming in. And it's good to see you, Ann. I'm gonna have to mod you up, Ann, very soon. I'm gonna have to mod you up. Robert, I see all y'all in there. So anyway, let me get right to it. So demographics. This will open up one's mind to understand why we have no business as Black people, in my opinion, getting ourselves involved in the whole immigrant or DACA or what's happening in the border right now. We got no business, because the statistics that you're about to hear that I was able to analyze, to research, and you'll get a nice slide. You'll get a slide, so you'll be able to see these statistics straight up in your face. It proves out that we have no business, because we as Black people are damn near, in terms of the statistics, we're damn near third class. We're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to housing, education, jobs. And I know most of you in the chat room and those of listening, you realize this. You don't need me to tell you something that you already know. But you know what, damn it, I'm going to tell you anyway, because you need to know and need to get it get it through your mind. Okay, what's really going on? What's the problem? Why Black people are catching the hell that we're catching? There's a lot of things that are systematically being designed this way. I will be talking about, thanks to True Royal Family for hitting me up with the material. I will possibly, maybe tomorrow, I should do the program. I'm going to get into Memoranda 46. And once I delve into that with the family, you'll understand why what is happening to us continuously to today. Kashmir G, good to see you in there. And is that I see a new person there called Sweet Adalia, whatever, Violet. Hello, family. Hey, Sweet, do me a favor. If you're new to the channel, go on and subscribe, hit the bell, tell your friends. And also, everybody, if you got social media, the way we grow channels is share this video or any videos in your social media, so that people are, so I do the same thing. I think brother Gab Talk Media was on today, and I simply took my mouse from my computer and start putting his program in my social media, so that he can get more people that can find out about him, and those of you in there that do content, people will find out about you. So even Ann, you've got great content as well. I'll be doing the same thing for you. Whenever I look at your stuff, I'll be putting it in my social media, so that people, it'd be nice. And I think Lowcast talked about this. It'd be nice if we can become a giant conglomerate one news conglomerate, which we're planning. I think I talked to Lowcast about this. He wants to put something together like that to become a big channel. So we all have our individual channels, and then we also have one channel where we all do particular stories as one big conglomerate. And some of us have talents in other areas. Some of us are better at presenting material than other people. Some of us are more passionate in the way we talk than other people. Some of us are better with the technical stuff, like Lisa and True Royal Family. And I think Ann, from the stuff that I've looked at that you do, are pretty damn good at your research and finding stories. I've got another story I'm going to do for Saturday, or I'm going to figure out maybe I'll do it tomorrow, maybe I won't. It's about I wonder how many of you know what's the oldest city, all Black city or all Black community in America. The oldest. Don't go looking it up. Don't get off your phones. If you don't know it, you don't know it, but you don't use your phone. Don't go Googling it. You know why? Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do a show. I'm either going to do a live stream, or I'm going to put together a video, and I'm going to upload that so that you can see for yourself. So please Don't go and look it up on your phones or cellular phones or computers. Good old information man is going to bring it to you. Reason why? Because I'm going to bring you not only the name of where it's are in the state that it's in, but I'm going to bring you a video presentation about this particular community. It's going to knock your socks off. So please just hold up before you research for yourself and let good old information man present you a really nice package presentation. So with that said, let's get into demographics based on economic data, based on race, and you're going to see why Black people, why we have no business trying to put up banners promoting the immigrants and the DACA situation. Remember, I did a live stream where I talked about immigration does not benefit Black people, and this is the flip side of that. This is going to show you how it does affect us in terms of housing, education, and what have you. So let me start off with the presentation here, and I hope you enjoy this and take it in as educationally as you can. And before we start, let me hit the bell for school, because this is a classroom right now. Okay, let's get started for class, and hope it opens up one's mind.
Hi, everybody. This is Information Man. I'm going to get into a topic that we all need to definitely familiarize ourselves with. Just be aware. I'm going to go over some statistical data that relates to demographics and economic data by race. So when we talk about various issues around race, I want to get into these areas because this is a very important situation that we need to be aware of. So let me start by getting into some of the statistics. We get into a brief discussion here. That should open up one's mind. And I hope it'll help you as well as it has helped me. Give me 1 minute. Now I'm back. Really, Black people, we have not really, if you look at over the years, we have not really, I don't know what our Black politicians, well, I know what our Black politicians have been doing. They've been doing absolutely nothing for us. Black people, as much as we think that we've made improvements, that we have somehow arrived in this society since being in shackle slavery, coming out of the Jim Crow age, and the fact that we've got all these Black politicians running around here, but we really don't have any justice or equality. And we just don't. And I just have to be honest with you. It just, it isn't working. And I'm gonna go over some of these demographics based on race, statistics as it relates to Black people, as it relates to income, housing. Just to give an example, we've got, once again, I'm gonna go over income, poverty, where the poverty line hits for us. We're gonna look at wealth. What is the wealth that Black people really have? And we're gonna look at household home ownership. That's very important. We're gonna look at education, and we're gonna look at the issue around the prison industrial complex system in terms of what are the raw numbers. I work in the prison system, so I can give some weight to that. I can give information on that as much as I can within the time that I'm going to have to do this particular presentation. And I hope everybody out there who is listening, I want to tell you that I thank you for your support. Without you, I can't do what I'm doing. So I really do appreciate you big time. It's very important. everything that we've been doing on YouTube, what we've been doing as content creators, as Black people coming together in the spirit of trying to figure out how we can find solutions to our problems. So I want to thank everybody out there who have been big time positive. I really appreciate it. And I want to go into this presentation right now and give some voice to the presentation about what is happening as it relates to demographics based on racial data. And it should be pretty interesting. So let me go right here and start with this right here. Let me move my material up a little bit. Now, here it goes, folks. You're going to see data that I'm going to show you tonight that is it's presented as a mixed picture of the economic gaps between Black and whites. These gaps will present in half. These are gaps that have been presented in this society for half a century, okay? It has displayed measures of household income. So what I'm going to show you is measures of household income, household wealth, and home ownership, as I said it before. Okay, now statistics will show that there's a gap. The gaps are as wide or wider today. We live in 2018. The gaps that we have in 2018 are wider, they're just as wide, if not wider, than the gaps that we had in the housing, income, home ownership, economic wealth. They're greater, if not greater than 1960 through 1970s, okay? The incarceration rate of Black men currently is more than 6 times higher than that of white men, slightly larger than the gap in 1960. There are also large and widely gaps between Black and white in key, and I do mean key aspects of family formations. The fall off in marriage rates has been much steeper among African Americans than among whites. The share of birth to unmarried women has risen sharply among both groups. However, the rate among Blacks is more than double that among white people in this society. Okay? On the other hand, Black people have made progress relative to whites in other important areas. The gap in high school between Blacks and whites has narrowed. So the competition between Black students and white students, Black people in education, according to this, is that it's gotten to a point where it's narrowed, as has for whites, okay? For whites, it has narrowed, as has for white and Black gaps in life expectancy have narrowed. But that's not really true, family. We know that white people are dying of opioid abuse. White people are having a hard time reproducing themselves. I think there was last reports that it's moved to 24 states where white people in particular are having a hard time reproducing, having children, having offspring, as we would call it, okay? While Blacks have a lag behind, while we as Black people historically have lagged behind whites in voter participation for most of the past half century, turnout among Blacks nearly matched that of whites in 2008 presidential election surpassed in 2012. And that was the year that Obama became president. We were very pumped up about Obama. So Black people came out in droves at that time. Now I'm going to go right into it and let you see. Boom. So right now you see on your screen, and let me enlarge that a little bit for you to see exactly, a little bit of enlargement. That's a breakdown. Let me pull it back because you couldn't see where it says income. That's the breakdown, family, of the income. This is the chart for income. As you can see, it says medium adjusted household income. Medium adjusted household income by race, ethnicity of household from 1967 and 2011. So you can see right there, Asians are at 68.521, right above whites. Okay, white people are at 60,000. So the household income. Asians are bringing in a household income of 70,000. White people annually is 60,000. Okay, let me see what we have right here. See, Hispanics are bringing in an annual income, household income of 30,000. You see the graph breaks down, and then you have Black people. Excuse me. We have Black people at 20,000. So even the Hispanic or Latino population is beating us as Black people as it relates to income, household income, which is why this whole narrative that Hispanic people are not striving in this country. I mean, we're all dealing with circumstances, but even the Hispanics are out beating us. And Black people, that's why we need to sound the drum, beat the pavement for our issues, because we are now becoming the third-class citizens. We are now becoming below. We're becoming way, way below in the standard. So you can see on that chart, this goes from 1967 to 1975, and you can notice it has not really changed. It says here, while Blacks and Asians households include only those who report a single race, Native Americans and mixed race groups not shown data here, data for white and Black prior to 1970 includes Hispanics. I was reading a little bit. So this is the chart right here. I'm moving it around so you can kind of see what's going on there. Okay, let me break this down a little bit for you. So basically, medium household income for whites was 67.175 in 2011, as reported by the Census Bureau, March 2012. Currently, population surveys for Blacks, it was 39.760. For Asians, 68.521, and for Hispanics, 40,000.7. So basically, Hispanics are bringing in a higher income. Asians have us beat out. They're just one step below where white people are at, and Black people, we're the ones that are in. Black people, we're the ones that are in dire strait when it comes to these statistics. Household, okay? Black and white incomes have risen since the late 1960s, but both have declined since 2007, the year that marked the beginning of the Great Recession since the 1960s. The differences in Black and white income grown from about 19,000 in 1967 to roughly 27,000 in 2011, okay? The median Black household income in 2011 was 59% of the median white household income. Okay, now this is 2018. Believe me, it's gotten worse. All right, this represents a moderate increase from 1967 when median Black income was 55% of the white income. Since then, Black income has ranged from 54% of white income to 65%. Now, in 2000, during a period of economic growth and low unemployment, the racial income gap has increased somewhat since 2007, when Black income was 63% of white income. Okay? The income gap between whites and Hispanics has widened since 1970, when Hispanic median household incomes was at 68% that of whites. In 2011, Hispanics or Latinos income was 60% of white income, a gap that has not changed since 2007. Okay? Now, comparable income data for Asians is available only since 1987, when Asian income was about equal to white income. And in 2011, Asian income was 102% of white income. Interesting. Now let me move here to the next slide, and there you are. There it is. That's poverty. Okay, you see there? Let me stop that right there. Cherry, you make very great sense. You said Black people were just making the same thing in 2011 that whites were already making in 19. Yeah. So all the increase in pay that Black people have made, while we're thinking that we're striving, we're actually not. We're just making a lower percentage. You know, you got inflation and everything, of course, but we're actually making what white people were making when we were really in even more worse shape. So we're really not striving forward. We're just sort of like, you know, how you have like a little mouse on a treadmill going backwards, and it's treading its little way. It's fighting its little way and fighting its little way. That's exactly what's happening. You're exactly correct. We're not seeing any new traction. What's up, Big L? Let me say some. We got Big L in the house. We got a nice intro. Thank you, sister, for saying I have a nice intro. I see Brenda Johnson. I don't know if she's still with us or not, but if you're listening, anybody that's listening, thank you for listening. Let me continue with the presentation. But yeah, Black people, we're just treading water. We think we're going somewhere, but we're not going anywhere. And it's really a damn shame. You can see it for yourself in these charts. Persons in poverty by race. And as you can see, Black people are at the top of this line, 30%. You've got Hispanics at 20, so they're dipping down. Black people, it's at a high point right here at that 30 mark. Asians are at, look at this, they're way down at 10%. White people at 5%. So as you can see on that chart, Black people, we are even higher up on the poverty rate than even Hispanic or Latino people. And of course, white people are way at 5%, Asians at 10%. So it's very interesting how this all works. Now let me break this down. Black Americans are nearly 3 times as likely as white Americans to live in poverty, according to the 2012 March Current Population Survey. And let me say something here too. We have a big homeless problem with Black men. A lot of Black men are finding themselves in a situation where they're becoming homeless. That's a crisis, and you don't hear any of our politicians talking about that. You don't hear anybody crying and moaning, as Elijah McCumming did when he talked about immigration. Where is our heroes and sheroes to come alive, our elected officials who seem to be focused on other things besides what is happening to us? And I'm talking about Black politicians in particular. They have to have their feet held to the damn pavement, to the fire. Okay. Now, the Hispanic and white poverty gap has narrowed somewhat since 1974, when Hispanics' poverty was 3.0 times white poverty, compared with 2.6 times in 2011. The Asian white poverty gap has also narrowed somewhat. Asians are 1.2 times as likely as whites to be in poverty. That's right. You see.
Let me stop that there. Malcolm, I read your statement. You said the studies that intentionally perpetrate, they push a myth that Asians in general exceed over other racial groups. This is still used today to put Asians against blacks and Latinos. Well, I would say, Malcolm, you make a good point. But when they talk about Asians, they're not talking about Southeast Asians. A lot of the Vietnamese, a lot of the Asians that are Vietnamese, like you have in North Carolina or Louisiana, and those that come from Southeast Asia, they get treated completely different. Like in San Francisco, you have a Cambodian population, and the darker, I'm just gonna keep it real, the darker skinned Asians get treated totally different. The Chinese and the Japanese, they're kind of like in that exclusive type class, right? They're a little bit different. They're treated differently. But this is the darker skinned Asians that get really looked upon bad by Chinese and Japanese. I'm saying in general. So in general, when you look at the Japanese, people that are Japanese in this country and Chinese in general, they're doing a hell of a lot better than most of the other groups. They're definitely doing a hell of a lot better than black people, because unlike us, they have their language, they have their communities intact. And one of the things that they practice is they practice what? Economic cooperation amongst themselves. They'll open up a business and you won't see them hiring us too often. They'll hire their own for primarily they hire their own. They're about self-preservation. They're about self. Black people, we need to start being about self. So, and don't get me wrong, I realize that statistics can be manipulated in different ways, but this is why Black people, we need our issues to be addressed, because if you can see on that chart right there, again, it's at a 30% slope, sloping down at 28%, okay? And you notice, you see there, the Hispanics are just one step below us. Then the Asians are kind of like in that middle. And then you've got white. So white people are doing pretty, they're low. They don't have high poverty rates. Hispanics are just one step under us. But I'm just telling you, we're at the highest rate. And I just mentioned earlier that you have a phenomenon going on where a lot of Black men are going homeless. And nobody seems to give a damn about it in this society. But I do, and I'm talking about it now. We don't hear too many of these stories. Okay, remember that brother that they discovered, that they exploited? They called him the radio voice. He had that deep radio voice. Hello, this is WCOYZ. What was that brother's name? I had a picture of him. I wish I could throw it up on the screen. Who's that brother? He was a homeless guy, and somebody gave him money, and he started talking. And the guy said, "Man, you got a radio voice." He said, "Well, I used to do radio." Remember, they cleaned him up. He came on the Oprah show, or he came on 2020, and then he ended up getting pressure from his family because, he was starting to get money, and he had to go in hiatus for a while. You got Black men like him running around in the streets. Nobody gives a damn. Let me move on with the presentation. Let me read what else is in the chat room that I can bring up while we're at it right now. Let me see. Malcolm said, my dad was Asian and had a darker pigmentation. What you're saying is true when it comes to when it comes within the and the reason why I know this, Malcolm, because I lived in San Francisco, and you can't get any Asian in San Francisco because we have a large overall Asian population. And when I lived in Oakland, Oakland has a lot of Koreans, and you got Southeast Asians there. I had people that I knew. I had a guy that I knew who was Vietnamese. A lot of Vietnamese people are living in Louisiana and North Carolina. I'm going to just keep it real with you. Within, I'm generalizing here, of course, within the Asian culture, when you look at who's on the hierarchy, you got the Japanese, you got the Chinese, and then the Vietnamese. The more darker skinned Asians would be in their culture considered the Negroes of their culture, the niggas of their culture. And so they get looked down upon and they get picked with. Even the Japanese invaded the Philippines. A lot of older Filipinos that remember that time don't tend to like or care for the Japanese. We're talking about the older school Filipinos because they were they were alive to see what the Japanese did to them when they tried to take them over during World War II. So that's exactly true. Let me see. King Wage, let's see. Did he die or something? I don't know. What's going on, Sunny? Sunny C said something I didn't know. Let me see. We got Patience in here. How you doing, Patience? Hey, is a virtue. Hey, Patience, it's good to see you back. I love it. Yeah, that's totally exploited him. And it's a shame on his money hungry family. Yeah, that brother that I was talking about, the radio host. Yeah, his family, that's why he went into hiding, because it was stressing him out. You take a man that's homeless on the street, you clean him up. All of a sudden he's on shows. All of a sudden he's getting money. Now his family that didn't give a damn about him comes out of the woodworks, and now they're fighting for money. But I recently saw him in an interview, and he said that one of the reasons why he had a hard time adjusting to all of the fame that was coming his way is because he still was a drug addict. He still had substance abuse problems. So he went away, he cleaned himself up. He had a really good interview. He cut his hair down. He's kind of got that Obama look to him. And I think he's doing radio right now. He's doing a lot better. I believe he got rid of those hungry, hanger-on type family types that wasn't doing him any damn good. And that's the thing you need to do. Sometimes your family can be your worst enemy. And you got to be willing to say, you know what, I got to cut them loose. They're not in my best interest. You know, sometimes some of your family not in your best room. What's going on, Brother Rob? Thank you for being here, brother. I would love to do let me see. Rob says, Information Man Show. I would love to do a build with you on this subject. Okay, brother, we can do that. I'm very open to that. You know, I want to work with people, and I realize most importantly that I got to make sure that I don't work with people that are coons. That's very important, because we don't need any more, you know, what I would call jack-o'-lantern preachers.
Jack-leg preachers.
All right, let's move on with the presentation, and let me because this won't be a long stream tonight at all. Let me go back in the chat room, read some more. I love the underrated darkness, my brother. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Cherry says that's true about family. Yeah, family can really be against you, and there's some family members that'll be with you. Let's see. Makem says, sadly, that's true, Brenda. They even use the money they make from Black communities to put the next generation in college, while your community is, yeah. If you go to Los Angeles, and I'm pretty sure there's people from Los Angeles in this chat room, look at what the Koreans doing. They move into our communities, they take money, they open up stores, they open up beauty supply. We got beauty supply stores here in the Sacramento area. I don't live in Sacramento, but I live right near it. And they sell have beauty supply stores that are owned and operated by people that are Korean. And they come into the community, they make the money, and they end up sending their kids to school with the money that you spend in their store. And so that's why it's unacceptable for us to allow them to talk to us any kind of way and treat us any kind of way. That's just business sense. You know, that's just sense. It's just sense. We should not patronize anyone that would talk to us any kind of way. Let me move on with the presentation, and I'll read more people's thoughts in the chat room.
On the chart, I'm going to put my see the chart right here. 5% for Asians, 5% for white people as it relates to poverty, 10% for Asians, Hispanics at 20%. Okay, and as you can see, my people, Black people, here we are. We're at 30% high up on the scale. You can see this here. This is crazy. Note, for 2002, 2011, whites and Blacks and Asians included only persons who reported a single race for 2001 and earlier years responded. Okay, very interesting. So Asians at are at 1.2 times as likely as whites to be in poverty now, compared with 1.9 times slightly in 1987, the first year for which data became available. So you see that there. It's a lot going on, my people. It's crazy, but we're gonna deal with it as best we can because we have to. Information is power, and we must recognize that. I hit the bell. Come on into class. Let's learn as much as we can learn, because no matter how old you are or young you are, you're always learning, you're always evolving as a person who's trying to make their way through life to be the best that they can be. But when you have this sort of wealth issues, housing issues, who you think is impacting Black people? Is impacting people in these situations. But I say Black people because my focus is about my people. Okay. So 1987, the first year for which data became available. Interesting. So let me get into the next slide. All right, wealth.
Let me stop right there. Let me see. Brenda Johnson says, I went to Italy years ago. There was Chinese groups staying at my hotel. They had buses lined up to take them to Chinatown. They would not spend their money for Italian food. Now, God damn it. Now, you know what? See, this Brenda Johnson, that's what I'm talking about. And see, let me tell you something. Don't sleep on people like Brenda Johnson who have traveled and been around the world. I noticed that they say in general, when you travel, and I've got my passport, I'm not just talking, I got my passport too. But when you travel, you get a different perspective on the world, on yourself, how you fit into the world. You have a different perspective. Living in the Western Hemisphere in America gives you a pretty, I would say, elementary perspective, because it's not until you go around the world and see things for yourself that you can really, truly understand what's happening to us in relation to what's happening to other people. And like she said she observed Chinese tourists in Italy. Now, most people, when they go to places like Italy, they want to eat Italian food in Italy. I mean, let's be honest. If I was to go to Italy, my first thinking in my mind is that I want to try authentic Italian food in Italy to see if it's different from the food that we think is Italian food in America. Because I've heard that in Italy, and maybe Brenda Johnson can attest to this, that pizza is prepared very much different than what you see in New York. When you go to New York and you say, let me get a slice. How many you want? Let me get 2 cheese. Okay, their cheese is different. Their form of pizza is different from our form of pizza. Maybe it's different in taste. That's what I've heard. Now, Brenda Johnson, you've traveled. Maybe you could tell me nay or yay on that. Is their pizza going to be just like pizza in New York City, or is it going to be a different flavor to it? What do you say, Brenda Johnson? Let me see. She says, I've been blessed to be able to. That's right. Let me see. Brother Expose the Fake Pro Black says underrated darkness. Oh, he's talking to underrated darkness right now. Marlo's Corner, what's up, brother? I will be giving you an email, brother, so we can set up a live stream to get the boxing expert on with me. Marlo's Corner, if you need great expert boxing analysis, interesting, energetic show with big time masterminds when it comes to talking boxing strategy and what is going on in the boxing world today, you must, and I do must, as if your life depends on it, take your ass over to Marlo's Corner, subscribe to his show, hit the bell for notification, and check out Marlo's Corner. Let's get ready to rumble. So that's my promo to Marlo's Corner. Marlo, you owe me some money, brother. I want some money. I just gave you a big giant promo here, brother. I'm gonna be putting out my Patreon pretty soon. So brother, so you can throw $2 in the Patreon, because I'm giving you commercials, and we know that commercials cost money. So I'm waiting for you always joke with me when I go on your channel. So I'm joking with you now, brother. But one thing I'm gonna say it again, where's my money for these promos I've been giving you? Where is my money? I want my daddy's records back, like on what was that? On Red Fox. when he had Grady talking about, I want my daddy's records. I want my money. I'm Damon Dash, brother. I want my money. But these promos, Marlo's Corner, I want my money. So anyway, let me see in the chat room. We got S. Wiseman. She says, Brenda Johnson, love to you. Let me see. But Brenda Johnson, that question about the pizza that I said, am I hitting on to something right? Oh, Black News is with us. What's going on, Black News? Welcome back to another Information Man production. Let's see. Marlo's Corner says this. I think family hit my email. Okay, now I got your email. All right. And like I said, Marlo's Corner, I want my money. All right, brother. I'm actually copying your email right now. Boom, boom, boom. And putting it on my little list thing here. Boom. I got you, Marlo's Corner. I got you, brother. So now I got the email. Thank you. I'll be in contact with you soon to set up something. Maybe we'll do it this weekend if you're free. Hell, you know, the weekend's coming up and I ain't got nothing but time on my hands right now. Maybe we put something together this weekend. Who knows? What I really, you know, Marlo, what I want to do too, brother, is at one point in time, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get all the guys that come on your show to talk boxing. I want to get you guys all on a platform together as well. I mean, I want to interview you too, brother, but I want to get you guys eventually all on a platform together. And I want to pick your brains about boxing. I just want to get you all on a panel and just start throwing out questions about different areas of boxing. Just get all your minds on one damn panel. That's going to be a panel of all panels when it comes to boxing talk. We're going to put that together. With your help, Marlo, we're going to put that together. I want that to be extraordinary. I want to get you guys on a platform and put on something extraordinary. Anyway, let me get back to these statistics and all these things like this. Let me, in Underrated Darkness too, I want you involved as well, because we got a few new people coming in the chat room. If you're new to the chat room, new to the platform, brother, just subscribe, hit the bell. I appreciate you being here. Let me see what this brother said. There's a new brother in the chat room, and you know I'm bad with names, so I'm gonna have to take a good look at what he's got written down here. And I saw it go upwards. We got oh, Jamarcus South is back. Hey, it looks like my Underrated Darkness. It looks like my Warriors are going to get Cousins, and it looks like the Lakers are not going to be able to get what's the guy that used to play with the Pacers that's with the Thunder right now. Looks like he's not going to be leaving the Thunder. Looks like the Lakers, and then Kawhi Leonard. There's no guarantee that he's going to the Lakers, and it looks like they want LeVar Ball to stick around. So it's going to be interesting, but hopefully we can talk about that over the weekend. Now let me get back into this. Because this is very interesting, and I'm bringing all this up to y'all, folks, good folks in the chat room, because Black folks, we have no business running around cooking and cleaning and caking for this immigration stuff. That black woman yesterday, she doesn't know how much of a fool she is. You know what she did? She risked her life to get up there, climb up there. She could have died. Would any of those folks would have gone to her funeral? Now she's probably in jail right now. They're probably going to levy a heavy what do you call it? A bail on her ass that she can't afford to pay to get out. Will all these immigrants and people that she trying to represent, and the white boy that she bid winching with, are they going to bail her out of jail? Or are they going to put forth an effort and put money together for her bail? Are they going to put money together for her representation in court? No, I highly doubt it. She's going to be left on her own. And then what's going to happen when she's left on her own? She's going to be crying for the Black community to help her. She's going to be talking about Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, can y'all help me? And then you're going to have some of these Negroes that are going to get on television talking about how we should support her because she's going to have legal fees, because she's just a misunderstood youth who was trying to make a mark for herself as it relates to what's happening to the immigrants. No black person has no damn business getting up, crawling up on some damn thing like that. She was put up to doing that. Somebody put her up there because you saw how gingerly she was coming down. So if you're that gingerly coming down on a statue, then you had to have somebody. You wouldn't have been brave enough to climb up on that thing. She was put there. She had help. Backwards. All these backwards Negroes running around here in America. My God. We can't make it with these. We can't make it when you've got people like this in our community, being buffoonish like that. You know, we can't. We have to get away from them, those of us that are like and kind. So back to the statistics, and I'll read more in the chat room.
We're going to get into this thing called wealth. You can see here, I'm moving the slide up. This is about wealth, median net worth of households by race. Okay, by race from 1984 to 2011. Right now, white people are at what? 91.405 by earnings. Look at this. Excuse me, folks. And then you got black people. Look at it. Even Hispanics are at 20,000 right here. They're above. They're at 7,843. Black people are straggling down at the bottom with a 0%. They don't really care about us black people. You know, they don't care. This society doesn't care. We don't have any friends. That's why we have to stick together, stop backbiting on each other, find our common goals, and go out into this world with a purpose. And that purpose is a collective purpose to help us through our issues, to empower us to know that we are more than the stereotypes. Now, right, once again, in 2011, a typical white household had net worth of 91,405, compared with 6,446 for black households, 7,843 for Hispanic households. So they beat us out there, okay? Households, and 91,203 for Asian households. The figures for net worth, also known as the wealth, are based on assessed, liability and Census Bureau data from the surveys of income program participation. Okay. The gap between black and white wealth has grown somewhat since 1984, the first year for which data became available. In 1984, black households had median net worth equal to 9% that of white households, compared with 7% in 2011. The gap narrowed somewhat in the 1990s. This is when the gap started to narrow, somewhat in the 1990s. In 1995, black net worth was 14% of white net worth. I repeat that. In 1995, black net worth was 14% of white net worth. Hispanic net worth is also notable, smaller than white net worth, and the gap has widened over time, okay? In 1984, the typical Hispanic household had 13% of the wealth of the typical white household. So this is very interesting. Now let me, as I said, the gaps have widened over time. In 1984, the typical Hispanic household had 13% of the wealth of the typical white household. Repeat that again. The typical white household in 2011, okay? Hispanic households had 9% of the wealth of the typical white household. Figures for Asian wealth are available only since 2004 and 2011. So that means that Asians weren't a part of the census for whatever reason, or they didn't get data on them, okay? The typical Asian and white households had about equal net worth. Interesting.
Now, as you can see, once again, you're looking at the graph here. Let's go to the next right here. Now we're getting into home ownership. You see right here, home ownership. White people at the top of the letter at 73% there. If within the 70s range, Asians are dipped only by around the 50 range. Hispanics, they're dipped down to like 40 or 44 as it says on here. And Black people, well, we're really at the low totem pole. We're between that 50 and 40 in the middle somewhere, but we're not in great shape. And let me go into this right here. So in 2012, 73% of white households owned their own homes, compared with 44% of Black households, 57% of Asians households, and 46% of Hispanic households, according to the Census Bureau, the annual social and economic supplements. Okay, let me move on to this part here. Now, in 2012, family, Black home ownership levels were at 60% of white levels. The size of a white Black home ownership gap has fractured since 1976, when the Black rate was at 64% of the white rate. The gap narrowed through mid-1980s. I remember I was a kid in the 1980s, widened through the mid-1990s, narrowed again, and widened after the onset of the Great Recession in 2007. The Black home ownership rate in 2012 is no different from what it was in 1976, family. But the white rate has risen somewhat, contributing to a modest growth of Black and white gap in home ownership and rates. Okay, the Hispanic white gap in 2012 is about what it was in 1976, when Hispanic rate was 63% of the white rate. Now, in 2012, it was at 63% of the white rate. The gap widened in the mid-1980s to the mid-1990s in concert with a wave of Latino immigration. Then it narrowed again. The gap has grown somewhat since 2007. Now, when Latino people, Hispanic people, their home ownership was at 66% of white home ownership. Data shows that Asian home ownership, available since 1988, indicates that the Asian white gap has narrowed since then. And in 2012, Asian home ownership rates was at 78% of white rate, which 1988, it was 71%, family. It's very interesting stuff. I must admit, very interesting. Let's get into the next slide. Okay, which will probably be, there we go. I made a mistake there, but it's okay. We're back on. And here we go. Boom. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's the educational slide. Okay. And let me see right here. I'm gonna guess the incarceration, which we'll get to that. Education, I'm gonna see. So let me see what everybody's saying in the chat room as we got into the educational slide. I guess folks are talking to each other. Kashmir, True Royal Family, Police, and is talking in the back. Hey, Quest, man, I hope you got my email, because I woke up this morning and I got your message about the song that you worked on for me, brother. I really appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. Love Like the Sun. What's going on, Love Like the Sun? Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notification, and definitely share. Appreciate that. Welcome to the family. Marlo's Corner. And I'm looking, rolling up like hell. Okay, peace to you, Quest, the True Royal family. Brother Rob, it's good to see you in there. So let me continue on. Let me stroll up and see if there's any messages that I might have missed that people said up front. So let me stroll back down here. Let's see. Okay, love like the sun writes me back. It's very nice. True Royal family's in the house. How is the Royal family? The Royal family's doing well tonight, and good to see you in the chat room. Let me go back into this educational portion of this presentation, and if we do have any time tonight for any Q&A, I'll bring a few people on. I didn't want to, due to the time and everything, I wanted to respect everyone's time. I know it's late, so I won't make it extremely too late of a deal. But let me go back into this for the sake of time as well. And King Wage, that was quite a live stream you had today, brother. Quite a live stream, I have to say.
If I can put it where the ghost can get it on the issue around education. So let's see, folks, bear with me. I hope everybody's doing well listening. I really appreciate your support. Okay, so we're on the educational issue. Now, let's keep this in mind. Today's high school diploma or high school completion rates are similar for adults age 25 and older who are white, Black, or Asian. But they lag for Hispanics in 2012 at 92% of white adults, 86% of Black adults, and 89% of Asian adults have had at least a high school education, as did 65% of Hispanic adults. Okay, high school completion rates have climbed for all four groups in recent decades, according to the current population survey, but more sharply, certainly, for Blacks and Hispanics than for whites. So those two groups have narrowed the gap, okay, attainment gap with whites. In 1964, the year after the March on Washington, 51% of whites had completed high school, compared with 27% of Blacks. Black high school completion rate was at 53%, that of white rates. In 2007, the Black rate was at 91%, that of white rate, okay? By 2012, Black high school completion rates was 93%, that of white rates. Okay, now when we talk about Hispanics, Latinos, high school completion rate well behind white rate, is well behind white rates, but the gap has narrowed since 1971. Then data became available. When data became available at that time, family, in 2012, the Hispanic rate was at 70%, that of the white rate. In 1971, when only 33% of Hispanic adults had completed high school, Latino high school.
Okay, I got my man Latil. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, brother. You wrote, do you think these graphics could be lying on Black people? I can't say for 100% sure. They probably could be, because you know that statistics can be manipulated. But one thing I can agree with is that Black people, we are not doing better economically in this country. The point of this program tonight is to show why we should not be. I did a program on how immigration is impacting us. Now I'm showing you how it affects us on that economic level, because I'm showing you that we are even falling below Hispanics. So for as much as people want to say that Hispanics are getting hit heavy in this country, that they are somehow they're the outdoors child. No, they're not. they're actually doing better economically than us. They're beating us in the home housing. And this is why we as Black people need to focus on ourselves. Okay. We know that white people are earning more money than us per capita. This is not giving anyone credit. It's just the facts. We know that. I've seen a lot of statistics, and Black people economically, when it comes to housing and education, we're not doing as well as we think we can. We may think we are because we got some folks that are graduating from a university, but even when I was in college back in the 90s, there were not that many Black students on my campus, and I'm in a so-called liberal city, and I say so-called San Francisco. I went to San Francisco State, and I can say that the Black people that were on that campus, you can count them on your goddamn hand. You can count them. All the Black people knew who they were. If you go over to Berkeley, I spent a lot of time in my younger years at a lot of college campuses at that time because of being in a fraternity. So I had brothers from all over the damn country and all over California at different universities. I've been to all of them, UCLA. Do you know at one point in time, I think they did a study a couple of years back that the majority of the students at the UCLA campus that were Black, a majority of them were on the damn basketball or the football team. They have I'm not saying that everybody that's Black goes there that's on a football team, but a good majority of what makes up a lot of these college campuses on these traditional white campuses when it comes to Black people, a lot of times it's because we're there on an athletic scholarship, and in some cases we're there because of an academic scholarship, but they don't emphasize Black people, Black males and Black women that are on these universities because of academics. But I remember when I was in college and I'm in a so-called going to a university in a so-called liberal city, you could count the Black folks on your hand. The majority of the Black folks that went to San Francisco State were coming from the East Bay. They lived in Oakland, Richmond. So I know a lot of people in the East Bay and the Bay Area because of going to college. And most of us could count each other. When I would go in a classroom, you could count how many Black folks were in a damn classroom. We were like raisins in a sea of milk. You know how when you buy Raisin Bran, you eat the whole thing, and then you get down to like where it's just milk and you got a couple of raisins in there. That's how Black people look in this society. We look like that on our jobs. We look like that in school. Okay, so for the most part, and on top of that, Black women statistically attend college at a more proficient rate than Black males do, and we know that that's systematically set up that way because they don't want us as Black males to go to school to get education or prepare ourselves for employment opportunity. If you give all the education if you just allow if Black women are going to college and we're not in college, then that Black woman grows up, they become more economically at a certain economical rate. And now you develop a conflict between Black men and Black women based on economics. The Black woman doesn't want a Black man who doesn't make a certain amount of money. So if Black men are not doing something, you don't have to go to college to make money, but if we're just not doing anything, whether it be trade or education or some type of skill that allows us, or we don't have a bankroll of money to create our own business, if Black men don't have enough stability economically, and then you have Black women who have economic stability, then that could be a conflict on an economic level, because in this society, we're taught that men are supposed to be the breadwinners of the household, the supporters of the household, and so on and so forth. So I didn't create these rules. These are rules, or these were constructs that were set up before I was born, and they're here now between, the man is supposed to provide and what have you. So statistics can be played with, but I tend to believe, based on just what I've studied in school, that Black people, there are areas that we're still being impacted in. And I think a lot of it has to do with institutionalized racism. Okay. Institutionalized racism plays a role, because I know for a fact that I've had some teachers when I was in college that were racist, and they gave me grades that I didn't. They gave me a grade or grades that I know I did not deserve that type of grade. And I knew there was some racial bias there. I knew it. And then you got to go talk to the goddamn dean, which I did. Now you got to go you got to file your complaint, which I've done. I've been through all kind of shit. That's why, like I told y'all earlier tonight, this YouTube stuff don't faze me. I get a little pissed off about a few things here and there. It don't faze me. I deal with criminals for a living. So it don't faze me. I've dealt with way more stringent stuff. It won't make me and won't break me because life always going to move on and propel forward. But I've had to deal with a lot of shit. That's why, True Royal Family is correct. Everybody's correct in the chat room. We have to stop we can't waste our time with people who are boneheaded Negroes who got this sort of utopia thinking. We can't waste our time with them. We have to stick with like kind who are working towards a purpose. So, sure, statistics can be manipulated to look any kind of way you want them to look. But at the end of the day, what I always have to go back to is where is our generational wealth as Black people in this country? And for the most part, we don't have it overall across the board. You might have you may have a sprinkle of Black people here and there who have some type of wealth or some type of not necessarily wealth, because white people have wealth. We just we can be rich. So you may have some Black people who might have a good income coming in. They have a good lifestyle, but when you get past the few of us, okay, not everybody's going to be an Oprah Winfrey. Not everybody's going to be a LeBron James making all this money playing sports. For the most part, Black people, we're out here as working class citizens. You have the working poor. So if you're they say you're only 1 or 2 paychecks from being homeless. And if you're that means you're the working poor, because the middle class is gone, baby. So people who were considered middle class years ago are in the working poor. Especially if you're 1 or 2 paychecks from being homeless, you're in the working poor. That's the bottom line, because they're trying to they're shifting this country between the have-nots and the haves. And you go to other countries around the world, it's more set up that way. Between you have the setup, you have the haves and the have-nots. And Black people, they're going to always try to keep us in the have-nots, because the enemy is always concerned about our potential to rise up, to reach our full potential and greatness. And that's why they want to do everything they can to keep us away from each other. When we're talking a positive message, they want to pick with whatever we're doing to cause disruption and confusion, to cause dissension amongst the ranks, so that we will do what? Explode or implode on each other. So it's like a divide and conquer. That's a part of the system of white supremacy in the construct. It's a system, as Dr. Francis Crossan Wilson states. It's a system that shapes, and moves 24 hours a day. White supremacy never stops. When we go to bed tonight, folks, white supremacy is still operating. When we wake up, it still operates. When we go out the door, it still operates. It still operates. It's a perpetuating system that turns, keeps going. The machine keeps coddling. So that's what people sometimes don't understand. But you're going to learn today. Let me look in the chat room and see what else is going on with the good folks in the chat room tonight. Let me see here. Let's see. True Royal Family's in there again. I see Brenda Johnson. I think my computer screen on this on my PC is kind of frozen, so I'll wait for that to kind of open itself up, and I'm going to play some more of this presentation before I stop.
Completion rates was at 54%, that of the white rate. Okay, now the Asian high school completion rate in 2012 was at 96%, that of the white rate, nearly equal since 1988. When data for Asians became available, Asians have equal or nearly equal white high school completion rate.
Wait a minute. True Royal Family, you talking about your pimp game is sweet? Okay. Well, let me see. True Royal Family says, I was a baby pimp. Wait a minute. Let me stroll this chat room back up. I'm enjoying myself tonight. It's a very mellow stream tonight. Let me see. I think I missed the message. Darn it. I wanted to read what you were saying, but the chat room's moving so fast and I don't have time to slow my chat room down and make it a slower motion. Let me see. Well, anyway, I think I know what you were saying. You were saying that your pimp game was sweet. You had a baby pimp game, and you could get people to do what you wanted them to do, and it was so sweet. Oh my God, that's so funny. You're cracking me up tonight, True Royal family. We got a let me see here. We got a pimp alert. We got a pimp alert for fakes. I mean, woo! Alert, alert. We have a pimp in the chat room. True Royal family. She's gonna put that sweet pimp hand on you, folks. Anyway, sometimes it's good to laugh. We can't, we got to have outlets. I know for me to deal with my stress at work or anything I do in life, I learned to find humor, some humor, in the things that we deal with. Sometimes you got to find some humor. Everything's not funny. That's for damn sure. But sometimes I have to find the humor so I won't go crazy completely. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind, folks. We got to have balance in life. And part of that balance is to make sure you have ways to deal with your stress in this world, because it's crazy. And sometimes I like to laugh. And through laughter, I'm able to decrease my stress. So just keep that in mind, folks. But at the same time, there's still serious work to do. Don't forget that too. Let's see. Let me play the rest of this as we get close to this conclusion of this presentation right here.
So you can see where different groups are doing well. Hispanics are having some advantages in some areas. Black people, we're continuing to suffer in a lot of areas. It's just the reality that I wanted to bring to you. So you got this. There you go. You see the graph there, where white people rank, where black people rank. You see the numbers, the years. It's 2018. You can definitely do the math and figure out how much that has increased for us and impacted us. Let me show you another slide. And this is a slide for incarceration. Incarceration rates 1960 to 2010. And we know that when Bill Clinton, you call him the first black president, I don't call him anything, he was responsible for for reinforcing the 3 strikes out law, but also he had a law in New York that if you got caught.
So basically, I wanted to correct something. We know in New York, they had the stop and frisks law, which is illegal, by the way. And they found out statistically that the majority of the black men, you might have heard about this, the majority of the black men that were stopped in New York when they were doing this stop and frisks program, and they were targeting and profiling black men. Someone did a study and found out that the majority of the black men that were stopped had no weapons, had no guns, no weapons of any kind, meaning a knife, a gun, and they had no drugs on them of any kind. But then on the flip side of that, they found out that the majority of the white men, when they would stop them, they had either drugs on them, they had either weapons, gun, or something of some sort. That was in New York. So therefore, the stop and frisks, you can tell that they were targeting black men, but then it flipped on them because black men weren't falling for the okie doke in New York, because they know that in New York, you get caught with a gun, that's a done deal for you. I think Classical Barris, who used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if I didn't say his name right, I'm sorry. He went into a New York, you remember this? He went into a New York club, which I think was stupid, and he ended up shooting himself. And as a result, this dude went to jail for shooting himself. That's how you know that the system is stepped up against us. When we get shot by police, we get no justice. And when we shoot ourselves, we get no justice either, because what happens, you check this out. You get shot by these cops, you get killed by these cops out here, and You end up dead or shot or injured, and the cop gets off. In the case of the young man Rose in Pittsburgh, the police officer was allowed to walk out of the court with no heavy bail on him. They allowed him to get a little small bail and get out. He didn't they should have revoked his ability to get out of jail. He should have been staying in that county jail until they had the trial. But a black man shoots himself with a gun in New York, injures only himself, and as a result, he goes to jail for 3 years. He has his football career taken from him in the prime of his career for shooting himself. And then when cops shoot black people, they don't do any time when their shooting is illegal shooting by their own damn standards. Does that make any sense, family? That you can shoot yourself in New York because of their stringent gun laws. You can go to jail for 3 years like he did, pay a heavy fine. But if a police officer puts you in a chokehold, like what happened to Eric Garner, or if a police shoots you, like what happened to Mike Brown when he puts his hands up, they are given the benefit of the doubt. They're on suspension, if even that. That seems like some bovine bullshit to me. It's an unbalanced system. So you can see here the incarceration rates. Now, I have to admit, because of working in the system, yes, there are quite a few black men that I run across where I work at. There are white men that are in there too. And I'm gonna tell you right now, because I've seen the statistics, I've been saying this for a while. The majority of black men that are incarcerated in this country, I believe, but I know for a fact in California prisons, and we actually are known for incarcerating more people than any other place in the union, I think, other than Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I've been saying this. I see these guys' criminal files. The majority of black men that are being incarcerated, it's over drug sales, drug use, astounding from their excuse me, sorry about that. A lot of times they go out on parole, they don't report to their parole officer, so they get enscounded back to prison. So a lot of them are in prison that I've run across for a good percentage of them because of that type of crime. And so this whole myth that black people somehow are criminals and that we shoot and kill each other, a lot of black men in prison are not in there because they killed and shot someone. But if you look at the FBI, if you ever get a chance, look at the FBI statistics on everything. The violence that white people engage in compared to black people and other races, they're doing some ruthless stuff. I mean, I look at, you know what I like to look at too, is the AMC's, what's that show? It's a channel where they show people, you know, one of those shows where they reenact criminals, serial killers, people that have killed their spouses, their girlfriends, and they reenact it. The majority of the people that they're reenacting these things about, they're usually people that are non-melanated, and you know what I mean. They're the Frankenstein type. They are the ones committing crimes, marrying people, having their boyfriend kill the husband, all kind of weird stuff goes on. So I'm going to stop that right there. And what I'm going to do is, with that said, I'm going to try to disengage myself from this system here. And let me see here. Stop that. Boom. So how everybody doing out there? You see me up close and personal. I'm gonna send a link in the chat room if anybody wants to come on and talk to me, have any questions about these statistics that I brought up. Brother Rob, I know you said you know something about this. If you want to come on and talk to me about it a little bit, no problem. We won't be on long though, because I know it's late and some people got to get them some rest and all that good stuff. So what I'll do is I'll drop a link in the chat room, and see how that works. So let me put this. And I thank everybody for their patience with the program tonight. Let's see. So let me see. True Royal Family, white people time is over. And I keep telling everyone they are dangerous to be around. They're thinking doing dirty to us from going to make. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're making great points, True Royal Family. I will say that what you're saying cannot be disputed. Not be disputed. So let me basically go right over here. I'm going to drop a link in the chat room. Let me see. Where is the, oh, there we go. So I'm going to have my, and there we go. So I dropped a link in there. If anyone wants to come in for just a brief moment and talk about anything around this issue or anything that's on your mind, you're more than welcome. But let's keep in mind at the same time that it is getting late on a Thursday. I know some folks may have work tomorrow. Some folks might have tomorrow off. I don't know. So I probably won't be burning the midnight oil with these streams until the weekend, given the fact that people don't have to worry about going to no plantation the next day. So if you want to come on board, come on board. Welcome. Let me make sure I had this thing disengaged. What's going on, Underrated Darkness?
What's going on, my brother? How you?
I'm all right. I'm gonna get me some rest. I'm doing fine. I had a few family issues that were going on today, so it basically curtailed me from going to work today and tomorrow. So I'm kind of like on a little mini vacation.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I'm doing fine, brother. I wanted to please whoever else is if Underrated Darkness, just mute your you know how this works, brother. I don't have to tell you. You know
Yeah,
how
yeah. Yeah, I already did it.
Okay, thank you. I brought this up because I did the program on immigration, why that doesn't work for us. And then I brought this up because Hispanics or Latino people, they're not doing is the ones that are in the country already as citizens, they're not doing as bad as we think they are. They're actually surpassing us, whether it be in employment, and now they're rising up over us in housing. And we're talking about home ownership, brother.
Right.
I believe, I know someone in the chat room was asking whether these statistics are warped to make in terms of Black people. But come on, brother, me and you have been living for some time. We've heard these things over the year that we know that Black people are not where we should be economically.
Yeah.
And we know that racism plays a part in that.
Yeah, exactly. It's part. It's another step of gentrification. Yeah, we have to understand that. Everybody feel that gentrification happens like but this is another part of a gentrification. So it does happen. I've seen it myself. I'm born and raised in New York. Now in Virginia. I do see that. So so I feel like this that we got to come to grips to that, and we got to talk about it. It's very serious, And I think the sad thing about it, I always re-emphasize this, my brother. And then I'm gonna give let's let Queen Brenda get into it, chime into this. That we gotta know our history. I'm not saying that we gotta go back ancient times. 50, 60, 70 years. That's not really a long time ago to know what's going on. They had a plan, and the sad thing about it, it's working. And so we have to understand that we got to take care of our own. That's all. That's the bottom line to it. The Constitution, and then Declaration and all that was never made for us. So what we got to do, we got to stick together, no matter what status we're in. We got to make things happen for us and everything, and that's the only way that we can limit these L's. And I'm gonna turn it into Queen Brenda. She can
Let me just say something. Kashmir G, I hear you, brother. You're saying for me not to burn myself out. I'll be okay, brother. I'm just been like this all my life. I don't like going to sleep. I'm a night owl. I stay up late when I know I should go to bed sometimes. I've been like this for a long time. I've had 48 years of this or some of it. So I've been a night owl, and I feel my best late at night, but at the same time, I know I gotta get some sleep. And I'm gonna be fine because I don't have to go to work. So I can sleep into about 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow if I like, and just lay my ass all in the bed if I like. So I'll be okay, though. But I want to thank everybody for looking out for me. Sister Brenda Johnson, Sister Johnson, how are you tonight or this morning where you are?
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear
Okay.
you. Your voice is coming through nice and easy. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, King. Good morning, family. Love, peace, blessings to all of you. Another great live stream, brother. I just look forward to this. You know, I'm not working right now because I'm recovering from surgery. So
Understandable.
this makes my day. I just love it when you jump on the line or True Royal or any of us in our family with the live streams. I love it. So just speaking before I say on the serious side, I was answering your question about pizza in Italy.
I know it's a goofy question.
I know, I was in the chat room and I was just typing away, but it just went too fast. But anyway,
I was thinking about whether they have a system on YouTube where you can slow down your stream.
oh,
But I don't know if I should do that or not, because what it does is every time you put a message in, it won't let you message for like a couple more seconds. You know what I mean? To slow it down.
yeah.
It's easier for me to be able to read it, but I don't know how it'll impact everybody in the chat room that wants to talk to each other at a more speeded pace. So I just leave it alone. But go ahead, sister.
Anyway, let me just start off. Pizza in Italy is awesome. They use fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
And they don't put white people bullshit on there like pineapple, okay?
I figured that one.
None of that white people bullshit on the pizza, okay? So
yeah, I don't want any of that nonsense on my pizza either. But but let me ask you on a more serious side. There was a brother in the chat room tonight that was asking about whether the statistics are based in some reality. Sister, you have lived life. Some of the things that I brought up tonight, is there validity based on your experiences that Black people, we are becoming on the third totem pole in terms of housing, education, what was the other one in there? Property. Are we really? And you enjoy watching Yvette Carlette with Breaking Brown.
oh yes, I do.
She talks about this kind of stuff that I think they had an article, and brother Tone Talks. I like Tone Talks.
Yeah, Antonio Moore. Yes.
He just recently critiqued an article that CNN came out with, saying that Black men are making these big strides economically up here or something. And he's saying that it's actually false information that they're putting out because they're basing it on a few Black men, you know, particularly when you look at the Jay-Z types and all those kind of celebrity types. But anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts in this area?
Well, you know, what you posted is accurate. We are, as a people, we have fallen behind every group there is. And that's the reason for this is, you know, and I listened to Yvette and Antonio, and we have no generational wealth. We have been denied since slavery any means to get that. We don't own anything. Wealth comes from ownership, home ownership, land ownership. That's where your wealth comes from. And, you know, I look at myself and I know if I did a survey of people in the chat room, you know, how many of you have parents who can leave you a home? How many of you have parents who can pay for your education?
Shit,
No,
not me. I went to school on Pell Grants. I got some scholarships coming out of high school because I was pretty good in my academics in high school, and I got lucky and got some scholarship money from some of the Black organizations in my community. And then the rest of it was because of my mother's low economics structure that allowed me to get some Cal Grant B, some Cal Grant A. Those of y'all who went to college like that, you know what I'm talking about when I say Cal Grants.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. And because I'm older than you, I benefited from what they call affirmative action in the day. I won a scholarship to go to college. Otherwise, I never would have been able to do it because my parents don't have any money. You know, I grew up in New York. My father was a cab driver. My mother was a nurse's aide. You know, I grew up in the projects.
Me too.
I have no generational wealth, you know, and you cannot build economically if you have no foundation. And slavery and white supremacy has taken the foundation away from us. And then we get immigrants to come over here and they are given a foundation that we've been denied. They are given land. They're given all these breaks. Meanwhile, we get nothing. And then when we try to buy a home, we run into redlining and all kinds of other bullshit to buy a home. You know, if you do scrape some pennies together to buy a house, they find a way to, you know, to sell you a subprime loan. And next thing you know, your house is underwater and not worth it a goddamn thing. They systematically do this to us.
I'm glad you brought this up. Remember, Travis Smiley used to have that, which I got sick of for so many years. He used to have that State of the Black Union show. And remember who he had as one of his sponsors, and they were one of the biggest predatory lenders when it comes to Black people and housing. That was what? Wells Fargo. He had Wells Fargo as one of his sponsors of the State of the Black Union, and Wells Fargo was known as heavily involved in predatory loans, those bunk loans that Black people were given when they were buying their homes and got caught up in these really bad loans that they got from Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo's was predatory. They've had a history of it. Matter of fact, what was it, just 2 years ago, they found out that Wells Fargo was stealing people's money.
Well, they were creating all these fake accounts and shit.
You know, this tells you right here that the system is corrupt. Wells Fargo should be out of business right now. Nobody should be banking with them, and the government should have shut them down immediately. But the fact that did not happen, that shows you that we do not live in a society that's based on justice, equality, and equity at all.
Yeah, and if you're a Black person and you got an account with them, this is how we can use our economic power. Get your damn accounts out of Wells Fargo and put them find you a Black bank somewhere, you know. And I mean, if you got a mortgage with them, well, you know, there's not much you can do about that except refinance. But get your shit out of there. Make them suffer.
Right.
Yeah, that's true too. And also at that same point that the sisters was really told, we have to understand that a lot of us don't know what generation wealth. We don't educate ourselves about the real meanings of economics. I remember Dr. Clark Anderson, when I was hearing him when he was talking like years ago, that we had to set up workshops to learn about economics because we the most consumers in the world. And then so we just lease for centuries, we leasing capital. We not building capital. We don't know how to build capital. We don't know how to like to set up certain funds. So let it stay, let it grow interest in it, or buy a house, or buy some land to sit on some land and stuff like that. But one day I learned about my father. You know, he only went up like my late father. He only went to 5th grade, but he always say this: that when wherever you have property, educate yourself, have somebody, put some smart people around, and sit on it. Because see, when you sit on it, you gain power. And then after that, you can have your own people live in stores around it. And I think we have to educate ourselves, especially the younger generation, to understand the importance of economic wealth, generational wealth. And I don't think it's going to happen in a lot of lifetime, but hopefully happen the next lifetime. But we have to start somewhere because we play behind the 8 ball for centuries, and so we gotta start somewhere to to reprogram myself about gaining wealth, gaining capital, and
let me
economics.
Let me show y'all something real quick. Let me share something with you real quick in the family. Here we got a black bank. This is a reputable black bank. When you put in your Google black banks, this is the first one that jumps up. And what it says there on the screen, one unlimited, one United Bank. Open your account today. Our lives matter. Our dollars matter. This is a reputable black bank. So for those of us that are afraid, well, is it a legitimate bank? Is this some type of Negro scam? No, their money is backed up like any other bank. It's a black bank. It's a bank like any other bank. It's backed up by the FDIC. Your money is a legitimate bank. It just happens to be a black-owned enterprise. So here is an example. You can Google on your phone, black bank, see what comes up. But this one I know for a fact is a reputable black. It is a black bank. There's a list of black banks, and I should pull up in my scroll up in my pictures I have on my phone. See if I can pull it up.
You see that little there?
Yes.
Remember FDIC?
FDIC.
Okay.
Break down what that is, Brenda Johnson. What does that mean? Let us.
That means that this is backed by the federal government. It is a reputable bank. So when black folks come up with this bullshit about, well, I don't know, you know, there's black folks.
Yep.
Stop that shit.
Yep.
FDIC, okay? It's legitimate.
Yeah, it is. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't they have, I know there's some folks on in the chat room that probably live in Los Angeles. Isn't there a black bank in Los Angeles and one in New York somewhere, like Harlem? Am I right or wrong? I know there's one of these banks. I think this particular branch of bank is in New York somewhere, right? Or Los Angeles. Let me look at this.
Yes.
This,
if I'm not mistaken.
I think this one is in Los Angeles, actually. Let me look and see if they, let me see if they have, oh, here we go. It's right at our fingertips. Excuse me, folks. Let's look at locations. Come on, boom, boom, boom. Let's pick up locations here. Let's see. California, I was right. Corporate office is in Crenshaw. Look at that. That's the corporate office right there in good old Crenshaw. Okay. And in Florida, Massachusetts, so they got locations, branches located in California, Florida, and Massachusetts. Wow, branches. Let me click this little branch right here. There we go. I was right. There is one in New York. I think that's New York, Marvin Street. One United Bank. So they're in the East Coast too.
Okay, California, Florida, and Massachusetts.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this must be the one in Massachusetts. I'm looking at. They got the little, yeah, that's the one in Massachusetts. I said New York, but that's Massachusetts. So and there's probably a lot more other banks, folks. Just do your research. I'm gonna do some more research myself, but that's the reality. We do have a legitimate bank, so you can get out of the Negro syndrome of, oh, I don't know if this is legitimate. This may be some mom and pop operation. You know how we.
Yeah, so Sonia says that a black couple owns it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you for that information. That's what we need. Oh, somebody must have put a link in the chat room. And what I'm gonna do is put this link to this bank in the chat room right now, because I put it up on my I had pulled it up. I'm gonna put this right in there. Let me go to the front page of it and get it. Yeah, that's the thing I'm gonna put in there. So I'm gonna put that in the chat room. If someone else already did, that's fine too. But it doesn't hurt to put more. But let me put that in there, and boom. So there that go. So yeah, so we do have banking institutions, and you're absolutely right. Because we don't have generational wealth, this is why we find ourselves in this predicament. And other groups that come over here are getting no, I was going to say that, you know, that sometimes when other groups come here, they get what do you call that? They get grant loans. What do you call that? That land loans or whatever they call that. what is that? I have a, what is that called? And where's that document I had? Go right ahead, Brenda Johnson.
No, like the brother was saying that, you know, it's not lost for us. You know what? You know what's so good about this platform, and then the True Royal family, Lisa Cabrera's videos, all of us that are creating this content. And I really love your idea about creating like a conglomerate, you know, where we can go and we have some trusted people who are willing to do their homework and their research and put out decent, you know, communication to the Black community. This is where we're in action, people. This is where we're starting. You know, you can't fix something until you recognize what the problem is. And because through social media, through people like Yvette Carnell and Antonio and people like yourself, we are learning. We are learning, oh, this is why I can't get a home loan. This is why I take two steps forward and I get knocked 5 steps back. We're learning.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
What I plan to do this upcoming weekend, and I have to give True Royal family credit for giving me the information to try to do the research. I'm going to be doing a live stream related to a memoranda that was created, which is going to give you the keystones to why we have the issues that we're facing in these modern times. And it should be something that will blow people's wigs back. Pretty powerful stuff. So that's what I've got cooking up going into the weekend. Hopefully I can get it off the ground. But brother, Underrated Darkness, brother, you had anything you want to add? I'm not going to make it a long stream because I know it's late for some people and they got to get their butts into bed. But you want anything you want to add, brother?
I'm just saying that follow what the sister is saying. Like the sister, I'm from New York myself, so I definitely know what she's talking about. Yeah, from the projects and all that. Yeah, I'm born and raised in New York, so I know what you're talking about. So I definitely know what she's talking about, the economics in New York and everything. And I think that what we have to really understand the regentrification, like I was saying about like 20 minutes ago, and we have to really dig in. We have to really talk about that other nationalities has come in this country and they have reaped benefits while we not.
Exactly.
And so we have to have that conversation, and we have to have that conversation often. And also we have to talk about the class within our community. We have to talk about the status in our community too, because that goes wrong, because there are some brothers and sisters, they feel that they don't need to help, but they fail to realize one thing, that the company that they work for, and when they sub-own these companies, they work under this white supremacist system. And most likely when they work under this white supremacist system, that means they live in capital. They're not going to give it up. And they fail to realize that they had to come to us, and we got to find a way to, instead of lease capital to this oppressed system, we have to build our own capital, and we have to be disciplined enough to make sure our money to be in our community all over. So it should be like quite a few Black banks, but it's got to be up to us to have those conversations. Now we'll have those conversations in the near future, because I'm working on some things like I told you before, but this is very dear to me. And you know, as my sister Brenda Johnson, you know what I'm talking about in New York. You know, New York always been, they always think, oh, this is the capital of the world. But when it comes to us as a people, we never have a piece of the pie. And it doesn't go for New York, but it goes for other communities around this country that deals with us as melanin people. So
Hey, let me ask you a question, JT. I mean, Underrated Darkness, brother, and Brenda too as well. Why is it that we don't have, when you look at the Black community back in the day, remember how they had the numbers You had the black dollar was circulating in the black community because you also had the numbers, which was like a lot, which is basically the original lottery. I talked about this before. So black people would invest in the numbers. They would play the numbers. My daddy played the numbers when I was just a baby, and he won. You know, he won money. The people would go to church, and even the preacher, as the preacher was reading the Bible, he would give you the verse for the number for the day. Right? We had we had a coded system. You know, before I was even born, black folks had a coded system. Why is it that we can't get back to a system like that where we have our own underground economic system? For example, like the numbers game, where you had black people taking $1, $2, $3, $5 and investing it. Now I know the numbers was basically like gambling, but I wonder why we haven't. Well, I have my reasons why I know why we haven't done it, because too many of us have been assimilated into this society. But it would be great if we had some sort of underground economic system like they had with that numbers game.
Yeah, I would love for some black. Oh, I hear echo.
Okay, is that me? Well, I know that guy. What's the guy? What's the guy? Morrison. But I know Colette. Carlette Breaking Brown. She kind of like exposed Jay Morrison, if I'm saying his name correct. She kind of exposed that whole Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes.
That he's doing.
Did you see the video from Tone Talks on that?
Yeah, they really broke down
they broke it down.
That it's basically like you're let's just say this. And when you're investing, you must always beware, right?
Exactly. And I want to say something too about, the two big scams that have come out recently. One of them was Bitcoin, promoted by Dr. Boyce Watkins, who, I was following him for a while, but I've parted ways with him because he has promoted things that has really hurt Black people, and Bitcoin was one of them. And then now this Tulsa, Oklahoma thing, he's been pumping that one up too. And Dr. Boyce, I don't know what he's doing. Also, he's a Trump supporter. Don't get me going. So, but one thing about investing money, and I'm terrible at it, like most Black people are, because first of all, we don't have access to the information that white people do. They keep that information close hold. It's all part of the system of white supremacy. But I just want to say, whenever you want to invest, ask yourself a few basic questions. Can I get my money out of this easily? And that's what threw me off Bitcoin. They were saying, yeah, you buy, and I'm into technology. I'm a technologist, and the algorithms that crunch the numbers and do this and do that, and you buy a little key, and I said, well, wait a minute, how can I get access to my money? And every time I asked that question, I heard crickets. So that put me, on alert. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm giving you my money and you can't tell me in 2 seconds flat how I can get access to my money.
Yeah. Well, see, Tulsa. Go ahead. This all goes into why Black people are in poverty, why we have all these economic problems that I spoke about tonight earlier, is because we also get mistreated and mishandled by shysters. Someone told me this is the facts. Anytime someone tells you that they guarantee you to make money, that's already a sign that it's a scam, because there's no guarantee in life, and they can't guarantee you're gonna get a certain amount of. No one can guarantee that. You don't know how the markets are gonna go. So that they also say that that's a sign that a person could potentially be a scam artist. And when Biocoin, or whatever that particular coin company was running a what was that? They were running a
scheme.
Yeah, it was
BitConnect. Yeah,
BitConnect. Yeah, BitConnect was a Ponzi scheme completely. And one of the things how they fooled people, they got people caught up in this notion that, oh, I guarantee you're going to make this much money. You can't guarantee anything. That's a sign of a scam artist before you. You can't do that. Look. I've got friends that I've known that have gotten involved. You've seen it when you have black folks that look, black folks, we're always looking to figure out how we can get an edge to make money. But I've seen black folks get involved with these organizations where they get you all pumped up. They'll bring a couple of people and say, I made this much money last year, right? And the next thing you know, they got you selling some type of product like you're a salesperson, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, you got to spend money to get the products to be able to sell it. And then you got to convince somebody in your family or friends, hey, I want to sell you this. And then I need you to sign up for the program too. Because it's a Ponzi scheme. They tell you that you're going to make money off of people that you recruit, right? Every single friend, I can't kid you anymore. Every single person that I've ever known that's gotten themselves in those kind of ventures, they end up with no money. They end up with nothing. They make a little bit of chump change in the beginning, but long term, they never become rich. They never become wealthy the way it's portrayed to them in these cult-like Ponzi scheme companies, you know?
Yeah, nowadays, you know, with the Oklahoma Tulsa fund, when Yvette and Antonio broke it down, first of all, they're getting sophisticated now. They're not going to say you're guaranteed to make money. Basically, what they said in their offering is they put in every get out of jail free for them provision that they could find. They basically said, well, you know, if the sun comes up on Tuesday, you could lose your money. If you breathe in and out, you can lose your money. My name is whatever, you can lose your money. It was just ridiculous what they were offering. But yet they raised something like $10 million in 2 weeks or some bullshit. I mean, it's just like, come on, people, come on, my people, wake up. Wake up.
But see, Brenda, Sister Johnson, my notion is that, let's just be honest, Black people, we have a thirst to be wealthy. We have a thirst to be relevant. And we tend to be the ones that get tricked by some of these get rich schemes. Now, let me be honest with you. I was a follower of Dr. Boyce Watkins. He was the one that was talking about, I think he said something about, if you were to invest, and you heard this too, sister.
Oh yeah, I heard it.
Invest $5 every day in the stock market. And if you were to download one of those stock market apps onto your phone, where you can simply have $5 come out a day, he was saying that by a certain amount of time, you would have, let's say, in 5, 6, 7, whatever, about 5 years, within 5 years, you would already have about $300,000 or whatever. If you just invest in the stock market every day, legitimate stocks, you would gain wealth. But one of the things I've learned very early in life, sister, is that you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And Dr. Boyce Watkins has not bared any fruit because, if I'm not mistaken, he's not actually rich himself. So if he's got all these guru ideas, and I think Breaking Brown had exposed this too, if he's got all these guru ideas about how to be wealthy, then shouldn't he be a shining example of Black wealth himself? Exactly.
You are so on point. He isn't. He's just as broke as everybody else out there. Seriously, he's just as broke as everybody else out there. But he's got a bunch of websites, and he sells. I remember this Bitcoin thing. He was selling this Bitcoin investment class for $6,000, and people were signing up for that shit.
And see, and you know what, Black folks, we can't afford to be throwing our money and pissing it into the wind.
Exactly.
We can't afford to piss it in the wind.
Yeah, and then there was some brother that lost 30. He had 30,000 in the bank that he saved up for years and years, and then he invested it in Bitcoin, and he lost his money. This makes my heart. It makes me want to scream. It makes me want to cry when I hear stuff like this.
Let me recommend a movie to everybody to watch, and maybe some folks have already watched this movie. And it had Ben Diesel was in this movie when he was just getting his career off the ground. Remember the movie Boiler Room?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was a movie about showing you how they create these phony stocks, and you had all these actors, well known, you know, in all these different actors were in it that were pretty well known today, right? And so they were working for this stock market, this company that sells stocks, but it was dummy stocks that didn't exist, and they were fooling people. It was called the boiler room. That's what they call these places, boiler rooms. They're looking for suckers every day. A sucker is born every day. Do you know that I get phone calls from Washington, D.C. and all over the country where somebody will call me and they'll say, Mr. Such and Such, you just got you've been rewarded a loan for this. You've been given grant money from the United States government. You've been given this. And I'm like, and the next thing you know, when they call you up, you can tell they're calling you from India or somewhere, even though it may say, oh, it's Washington, D.C. or New York, right? But it's like you hear all this noise in the background, like a boiler room, right? And I'm like, don't you ever call me again. I know it's bullshit. Also, another scam that goes on is that I'll have someone call me and leave a message and say, this is the IRS. The IRS is taking a lawsuit out against you. I'll be like, look, I called the IRS and they said that the IRS doesn't deal like that. If you owe them money, they're going to send you a letter and let you know what you owe. And then they'll even work out a payment plan with you. They don't need to, the IRS don't need to take you to court because you know why? They have your social security number. They could freeze my checks and garnish every goddamn check I make to get their money as long as it takes. So anytime you get that phone call, family, talking about you in a lawsuit from the IRS, it's total bull crap. Don't believe in it. I talked to the IRS myself personally. It's not true. Go ahead, sister.
Yeah, and ooh, what's his back?
There's back feedback? I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
How do I sound now? Is that better?
No, it's not. When I was talking, I heard myself. So, but anyway, it's better now.
Okay.
I just want to say, rule of thumb, when you're thinking about investing in something, take a deep breath and walk away. Give yourself some time. And do some research. Do not jump into something based on emotion. Do not jump in there and say, you know what, wow, yeah, I'm going to make me some quick money. It never works. It never, ever works. And when I heard about Bitcoin, and I actually heard about it like a year before, Watkins started all his shit. And I went to a seminar on it, and I kept asking them questions like, how do I get my money? How do I get my money? And then I decided like, nah, I can't do this. So take a deep breath. That's all I got to say. Take a deep breath before you jump into something and do research. We got the internet here. We can find out anything nowadays. If you got a computer, you got the internet, do some homework. That's it.
There's no need for us to be silly with our money when there's too much information at hand that we can tap into to know what's the best move to make. But I've never been one to allow myself to go down to be scammed that way, because I'm a person that anytime you say, hey, I need your money first, I'm always like, oh, that's a red flag to me, because you heard the saying, a fool and their money is soon to be departed, or whatever they call that, whatever that term is, I'm trying to say. So we got to be very careful with the way we invest our money. We need to make sure that whoever we're investing, whatever we're doing, it's reputable companies that are backed up by the Better Business Bureau or something like that. We got to really do our research. Especially nowadays with all this online, sales that go on, we got to be very careful with what's going on around us. And we need to look at, we have to understand this very much importantly, that, like I said earlier, we really have no business going on the front lines for this whole immigration and this whole thing. It doesn't benefit Black people. Once again, these groups are not here to be our friends. They're here to whoop our ass and compete with us. And that's why that young lady who got up on the Statue of Liberty, as I was mentioning earlier, made a damn plumb fool of herself completely. And now she's going to get, she got booked. She's probably going to have to pay a heavy fine. They probably got her in jail. And where are the people that she's trying to protest for? Where is the money being collected for her and her legal defense?
Yeah, well, she's a
Bad
fool,
choice.
like you said.
Yeah.
She's a fool, complete fool. And
Yeah,
and the minute I saw her picture, I knew she was from Africa. I was like, okay, now I know what we're dealing with. like who was it that said Afro Coon? Was it Sonia?
Afro Coon, I never heard that one before.
Sonia said
hey,
that. Yeah.
Sonia, see, you better what do you call that? You better get a what do you call that on that term for somebody steal that term. You better get you better incorporate that term or whatever they call that.
Yeah.
Get a patent on that. You might be able to make some t-shirts out of that. Afro Coon. Oh boy, we got a lot of them running around today. But I guess before I end it, brother Underrated Darkness, you got anything you want to say in closing? Because I'm probably gonna end this stream now, given the time situation, and get ready for things into the weekend. You got anything you want to say, though, brother?
All I can say is that let's advocate for ourselves. Let's advocate for our community. And the only way we're going to have resources, we have to change our mindset about economics. We got to stop leasing capital. We have to learn to gain capital. And every little that we do, it will help. But it's got to be a joint effort. It cannot be just selected ones anymore. All of us have to join in and plan for our future.
Yes. I would agree with you, brother. Wholeheartedly, 110% orange juice. So, Linda, sister, you have any, Brenda Johnson, I'm sorry. Do you have any last words before I get ready to end it? Sister Johnson?
Yes, amen, brothers. That's it.
Thank you. Hey, Brenda, enjoy your morning. I guess when it's nighttime here around this time for us, it's morning there for you. And then
it's 9:06 a.m. here. Yes.
When it's morning time for me here, it's going to be going on nighttime for you there. It's kind of interesting how that works.
Yeah. But it's my morning and I've had my cereal and I'm good.
Yeah. I'll have my waffles in the morning. But so this upcoming weekend, depending, I'm going to see how the post of things go. I'll probably be on tomorrow, Saturday, or over the weekend, depending on how things go. Because I know folks do a lot of their streaming on the weekend. So I will be back on and we'll make it do what we can do again. Thank you, everybody in the chat room out there. I appreciate it. Brother Underrated Darkness. Great having you on tonight. I would have figured that you got a lot to talk about what's happening with the Lakers and some of these potential roster pick selections that may not come to fruition. They're talking about. I know you and brother Sleep State TV will be talking about these issues. So thank you, brother. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. I'm gonna end the stream with the usual presentation, and thank you, everybody. So let me get straight into that now and go from there. Thank you, everybody. Play a little music here. And there we go. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right, we got Kashmir G. Thank you for being here.
Everybody out there at speaker.com, thank you for being with me. Everybody out there, iHeart, Spotify, wherever you are in the world, thank you. iTunes, whoever's listening, Google Play, later on down the line, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being with me tonight. I'll be on tomorrow, as I was saying. This weekend will be an exciting weekend of live streaming and connecting with you all, the family. Everybody out there, get some rest. Have a good day tomorrow. And those of you who will be around tomorrow, I'll be checking out everyone's during the day. I'll be checking out any and every live stream that's going on prior to me doing something in the evening. So thank you again. And as usual, Black people, we must stop buck dancing and bootlicking for the cornbread. Very important, because it doesn't get us anywhere to compromise and to buy into Ponzi schemes, and to buy into cooking and caking for other people who don't give a damn about us, who don't have our best interest in mind. And the cooning just doesn't work for us at all, as I've said before.
Let this be a lesson that Black folks need to be codified. We've got to stop cooning, buck dancing, bootlicking for the cornbread.
Yes, we do. And so with that said, thank you, everybody. As I pull out of this, have a very good restful evening, night, wherever you are in the world. And I hope that the statistics and it was a very mellow live stream tonight, but I hope all that I presented to you was one that could open up one's mind to understand what we're facing with now. If you're wondering, well, where did I get my data? Where did I get some of my information? Is what I was talking about had any reality? Well, you can check out the Pew Research Center on social trends. I put that particular name in the description of this video, the Pew Research Center for Social Trends. Check that out. They do studies on everything that's happening with demographics, changes and shifts in our society. And the information is pretty reputable. So definitely give it a look. Thank you. And I will be back with the family tomorrow because I've got no work tomorrow. So I'll probably just be hanging out with my daughter during the morning, take a nice sun gaze in the morning, get some breakfast. And then when the time is ready to come back home, check out what's going on in the beautiful, amazing world of Black YouTube with us Black folks and the things that we do. Let's stop. Once again, I'm going to remind folks, let's not fight with each other. Let's not bicker. Black men, we have to have some answers and some direction so that our Black women don't feel that they don't have any leadership. That's one thing that I learned out of what came out of the discussion that we had yesterday. And sometimes out of heated discussions, you can sometimes find some answers, and sometimes you may find more confusion. But I think in the end, yesterday's discussion, however emotional it got at times, we still were able to come back as a family, lick our wounds, and
and get through and understand our weaknesses and our strengths. And when we can understand our weaknesses and our strengths and focus more on our strengths and work on our weaknesses, we can be a mighty force. And I do believe that it does not matter if they have guns, they have tanks. I still believe that we can overcome all of this, because just think about this, if our forefathers and foremothers would have had, if those African slaves, those black people that came from West Africa, if they had a give up mentality, none of us will be alive today. Okay. So I don't care about what era it is. I don't care about, well, the Haitians were in an era when they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Everything is relevant to the time that you live in. So when the Haitians fought against the French had the military power at that time. And so you are what you everything is relevant to the time that you live in and what the technology is. At that time, they had technology. It was the gun, the rifle, the horses, and black people still made it through that situation, to the point that they caused a power of the day in France to go almost damn near bankrupt. America, as we know it, is crumbling. What do you think the recession was? Even though those criminals on Wall Street were investing money, look at how vulnerable this country is. I think there was a volcano or ash or lava in Hawaii, and they could not stop that. They can't send an army in on that. They're in trouble, and they know it. And they know it. With that said, I'll talk to you all tomorrow. I'll be back. Thank you, everyone. Good night.